Hey team, Troy here. Going to go over a KPI report review for you. I told you we'd get this to you and want to record it and give you a breakdown. So what are we intending to do here? What are you looking at? So KPI is key performance indicator, and we evaluate some data for each one of you guys in comparison to your previous production, as well as comparison to other performers within the company. And you're able to see how you perform compared to your previous performance to see if there's improvement. And you're also able to see how you perform compared to some of the other top performers to see what those guys are doing and what it takes to be in the top. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and hop right in. This is the overall form that you guys are looking at right here. Obviously, the logo and then the production week and your driver name will be up top right here. So this week we're looking at Johan PJ Hannell. He's the top driver for the last 13 weeks as an average, and just want to take this time to shout him out and brag on him a little bit. So I'm going to zoom in and we'll go ahead and look at some of these components a little bit more closely. So top left-hand corner, average revenue per week. So the green line would be the individual as a driver. In this case, it's Johan. On your settlement report, it would be you. And then the gray blue line is going to be the company average. Again, we're looking at a 13-week period because that's an entire quarter. And when we're in business, we're not looking at how much money we make every day or really every week, but we're really looking at month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year to make sure that there's consistent growth. So we're summarizing your data and everyone's data here quarterly for you to look at. Maybe in the future, if you guys request, we can do longer periods of time. We have the data, so just let us know, shoot me a message in Slack and we can make it happen. So you can see kind of some Corona time here in the 21-22, and then really breaking out of that there and just crushing it the last couple weeks, just under 7,000. And his average over the last 13 weeks, just under 5,000. Company average 4,300. If you scroll, we'll go ahead and go to the right here. You can see the top 5 drivers for the week, the current production week there. And you can see the top 5 drivers. You'll see the individual whose report this is. So this is Johan in this case, or would be you on yours. If for whatever reason you're not on the top 5, then it'll have your name and your production. And the same thing for your quarterly production as well right here. It has your name listed on the bottom, your average trips per week, and then your gross income for the previous 13 weeks total as a quarter. So again, Johan happens to be numero uno by $5,000, which is really only about a week's production. And it shows how many average trips he's taken per week, which I don't think it's by accident that the top earner is also one of the top trips per week, one of the hardest workers. So interesting to see that out there. We'll probably next quarter, in the fourth quarter of this year, we will likely refresh this and we'll restart from that point. So every quarter, it's kind of like a fresh start. Doesn't matter when you've came in or whatever, it'll be a fresh quarterly start. So we'll do that. So hopping back over to the left-hand side here, we're going to give a comparison of the total miles for the week versus a number of loads for the week. So Johan's number here is looking at 774 total average miles with an average load of 3.69. So you can see right here, Johan is in blue, the company is in purple, and then the number of trips is the orange line for Johan, and the company is yellow. So again, the bar represents the amount of miles that have been driven, and that axis is on the right. And then the line graph correlates to the total number of loads, which is the numeric on the left. So line graph left, bar graph right, and it superimposes that data for you guys. And we do something really similar here with the average mile per gallon versus the fuel cost per mile. You see that again, the bar graph is the mile per gallons to the right, and then the line graph is the fuel cost per mile. And again, it's week over week. If you want to look at a summary of it, it's in the top right-hand corner. So Johan averaged 7.2 miles per gallon and an average fuel cost per mile of 36 cents per mile, where the rest of the company average 6.1 miles to the gallon and 37 cents per gallon. Sorry about that, guys. I've been looking at numbers all day. So again, Johan 7.2 miles per gallon, 36 cents per mile. Company 6.1 miles and 37 cents per gallon. And we're actually taking your real cost data. So we're taking your total fuel cost and we're dividing it by how many miles that you've driven over the 13 weeks. So we're fully considering your exact data for that. So we'll go ahead and now hop over to the top right. I think we covered the top 5. My thing broke, so this is the second time through. So top 5 weekly drivers, top 5 quarterly drivers. I believe we went over that. Hopefully, if not, I'll have to make another video another week. But and then it has your individual numbers last week versus average 13 weeks for line haul, deadhead, dollar per mile, and miles per load. So last week, Johan here, average line haul 779, average for the last 13 weeks 716, average deadhead, average dial per mile, average load. So pretty self-explanatory. Moving on to the cost profit calculator. This one's something that we're pretty excited about. It's still early in development, but we want to deliver this to you to start getting it. So basically what we've done is we've taken the entirety of the amount of money that you've made over the last 13 weeks, and we've taken the quantities of each one of your deductions, and we've divided it all by miles. So we've taken your total income, divided it as an average per week, and then we've taken your total expenses and we've done it as an average per mile. So what do I mean by that? Is whatever your total carrier cost is by 13 weeks, whatever your total miles have been for those 13 weeks, we take your total carrier cost divided by your total miles, and that gives us your carrier cost per mile. Same thing with insurance. We've added up what your total insurance cost is for the last 13 weeks and divided it by how many miles that you've driven, and it gives us your insurance cost per mile. Same thing with fuel. What's your total fuel cost for the last 13 weeks and divide it by how many miles that you've driven. So that's what we've done. We've been able to create this cost profit calculator where we're able to determine what your expense per mile is. It's such a great metric. Now, where we get a little bit iffy is going to be on the maintenance costs per mile, because we don't really have a great way to capture that information from you guys yet. We're working on that tool. Obviously, the FMCSA requires us as the carrier to keep maintenance logs for you guys. And on top of that, if we're collecting this information, we might as well give you data, usable data back. So if we need to keep the crap, which we'd rather not, but we have to, we might as well give you something back for it, right? So we're going to be able to sum your maintenance cost and divide that per mile, and that'll give you that calculation there. And then if you use the best pass tolls transponders that we provide, that's there, and then the tax per mile. So Johan's average cost per mile is 89 cents per mile, and his average dollar per mile is $1.74. So his gross profit per mile is 85 cents per mile. So if you look at the fact that he averages just about 2,800 miles per week, multiply that by 85 cents a mile, doing pretty darn good when you think that that's a profit, when that's a profit calculator and it's already considering in your expenses. Is it exact at this point? No, it's not exact at this point. Are we looking to get it more exact? Absolutely, we're looking at getting it more exact for you guys. And then it has a total mile. This final graph is a total mile versus average cost per mile. Again, the total miles being on the right axis, being the bar graph. So bar graph right, line graph left, and then the line graph is the average cost per mile, and that that's being described by the left-hand column. So you can see week by week, how it varies, and then you can see the averages on the total for the top right, what the total average miles is per week, and then what the average cost per mile is over the last 13-week period. So that's a breakdown of this report. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Ryan Barnes on Slack. We can take some time individually to break down your numbers. And as always, we're looking for ways to better serve you. So if there's any metrics or data that you don't see here that you'd like to see, we'd love to talk to you about it and bring that data for you. So let us know and we can work on it. Have a great day, and we'll see you guys on the podcast tomorrow.